these lessons in the form of disastrous lives that you witness. And you see these disastrous lives and you just go, oh my God, I got to get the fuck away from this crazy asshole and live my life in a more positive, productive way, because I see what can happen if you blame the world for all your problems and all you do is hate, and you hate on people that are successful, and you hate on people that are whatever, wealthy, good looking, whatever. Pick the thing. Girls that are thin, whatever the thing is that you hate on. There's so many people out there that waste all of their energy doing that. And if you're around them, you can't fix them. It's so hard to fix people. But what you can do is see what they're doing that's so negative and just completely degrades the quality of their life, and just don't do that. And recognize that this is not the way to live. And then go listen to a podcast with some positive people and say, look at this guy. This guy's out there eating healthy, doing good things. He lost 15 pounds. She went running and decided to start doing marathons, and he did this, and this guy's building a fucking house. Like, you can find a lot of positive examples of people online today. That's
one of the reasons why I'm so drawn to ultra running. I mean, because whether you like running or not, the people that do that are some great positive people. I mean,
they're savages.
But they're also, you get so used to winning those mini battles in a long run, and you have to, and you get strength from each other. So at the finish line or during the race, you can get a bond. There's a saying, he who sheds his blood with me will be my brother. And it's like, that's probably derived from war, and I get that. And it's not like a war or anything like that, but it's going through a mini battle. And when you do that with somebody and you share that experience, you get that connection. And it's like, and it's why, even though I don't know Courtney that well, I know what she does, and I really look up to her ability to just be a beast. And that whole environment, the ultra running environment and community, is it's empowering for me, for sure. And that's why I love even just being around people like that. It just makes you better.
Well, they're exceptional.
Yeah.
Those are exceptional people. They have an exceptional mind. To be able to endure something like a 238-mile race through the Moab desert, you got to be something special.
Yeah.
There's a little thing in the back of your head that says, why don't you just sit down? Why don't you just quit? Enough's enough. We already ran 5 miles.
Yeah.
We already ran. That's enough, man. You ran a marathon. That is enough. You ran 2 marathons. You sit the fuck down. We just sit the fuck down and take a nap. But you have to be able to shut that off, and most people can't shut that off. They just can't,
It's tough. It's amazing. I mean, my brother was with me on that last one, and it's weird to share an experience like that with somebody, because you can be similar, but in the course of something like 3 days like that, you're in low points at different times. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so it's really hard. It's really hard to win each of those battles, because at one time when you might, I don't know, it's just, it seems like that'd be easier, and I think in some respects it is, but it's tough. It's tough all the way around.
So when you're going through a 3-day, 238-mile run, does it gets bad at certain times where you just feel like shit.
Yeah.
And then if you keep going, it gets better. And then it gets bad again.
Yeah.
And then it gets better.
Oh, yeah. You're up and down the whole time.
But you know that if you keep going, even when you feel like dog shit, you'll eventually break through and start feeling okay again.
I don't know. There's no guarantee.
There's no guarantee.
No, there's no guarantee. You hope.
Have you ever gone through a whole long race and felt like dog shit the entire time?
Yeah.
Which one of those?
Well, like the 24-hour run, because that's usually like my first tough one of the year. It's in June, so I haven't really
prepared for it enough.
No, because I'm always after spring bear.
Right.
I haven't been training because I've been up in bear camp and doing whatever. So that's always one where I know I'm just pretty much going to be miserable the whole time. There's going to be no light at the end of the tunnel other than when the 24 hours is up. So that one, I know I'm just going to have to grind it out. And that's where I'm like, this is one day out of my life.
Just do it.
I'm just going to be miserable. On Moab, that one started off and I felt terrible right out of the, I mean, I was like, we were, God, I want to think like 19 or maybe 15 miles in, something like that, at an aid station. I'm going, this is not good.
15 miles in?
Yes.
What's crazy is you were running a marathon a day.
Yeah, yeah.
So why was 15 miles so bad?
I don't know. There's sometimes when do you ever go on a run and your legs just feel heavy?
Yeah.
And you just don't feel good?
Yeah.
So
that's what it was.
I was like, I wanted to be fresh and I wanted to feel light on my feet and I wanted to get out there, and I was like, it's not a good sign when I didn't, because, you know, we just essentially started the race and it was hot and I had run out of water already one time, and my legs felt heavy, and so it wasn't looking good. And then Courtney was way out ahead, and you know, they were saying, I didn't really know who she was at that time, so me and my brother Taylor, we were thinking, well, 70 in the 70s would win the race. So I thought, well, I want to go out and aim for finishing in the 70s. And
when you say 70s, what do you mean? 70 hours?
Hours, yeah. So I figured, because what usually won Bigfoot was high 60s.
And Bigfoot's 205?
205. And so this is, you know, close to 35 miles further. So we just figured, well, probably 70s is going to get it done. And so she went out, and there's another couple other guys with her, I think. And they went out pretty hard. And, you know, there's updates on where they were. And I didn't know at that time she was the American record holder for the 24-hour run. She'd run 160 miles, I think, in 24 hours.
Jesus Christ.
And so I was like, oh, well, they just went too fast, you know, because I'd done that before, and like a Bigfoot the year before. And I thought, well, they'll come back, you know, so meaning
it'll balance out.
We'd catch up, or they'd come back. And I think the guys with her ended up dropping off a little bit, and then she never came back. She just...
Well, one of them dropped out totally. He tried to keep up with her, and he couldn't, and he wound up dropping out totally. Mm-hmm. She's a monster, and she's eating nachos and candy. That's what's crazy. Drinking beer.
Well,
all these people are on like all these diets and watching their macronutrients. And
no, but I did want to say that is because I listened to you talk to her about that, and excuse me, I've seen a lot of comments about that. But what you got to keep in mind is her training.
Yeah.
So you can't say, well, I run 15 miles a week and I'm going to eat nachos and beer.
Right.
So she's running 120 miles a week, probably. You can eat pretty much whatever you want.
Right.
So,
well, I get that, but it's also like I was asking her about like the nutritional content of her food. Like, are you really monitoring how much protein you get versus phytonutrients and minerals and
No.
Just gutting it out.
She probably just needs calories.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter how she gets them, just needs calories to sustain herself.
But I would just think for just the cells of your body, you would need more nutrients. I mean, who knows? She's obviously a fucking savage.
Yeah.
But who knows if she really monitored her diet and ate super healthy, she might be better.
Maybe.
Which is just terrifying.
Maybe. Yeah, she's amazing.
She's so normal too.
Yeah.
And you hang out with her, like when she did the podcast, she's just fun and laughing. Like you would never imagine that she is this like elite ultra marathon runner. I would think you'd have to be like super stoic and intense and
and when you see her, she's wearing it looks like basketball shorts.
Yeah.
Exactly. Big shorts. Yep. It's not like, you know, you see some of these track athletes and they got the tight little shorts on and the singlet, and they're like, you know, she's just like with a kind of a baggy shirt and baggy shorts, and then just crushing people.
Crazy.
Yeah, but
I love that though. I love outliers. I love people that come along that don't make any sense. They're like, what the fuck? Like that she's so much better than everybody else. She won that 238-mile race by 22 miles?
Something like that, yeah.
22 miles ahead of the second place winner.
Yeah. And the guy who got second is a stud.
Fucking animal.
A stud.
The guy's an animal.
Yeah.
And she was 22 miles ahead of him.
I know.
Imagine getting whooped. Not just whooped, but whooped 22 miles ahead by someone who's eating nachos and drinking beer and eating candy. I just love that. I love someone who doesn't make any sense, who's just so much better. And it's just like, wow. We gotta fucking throw a monkey wrench into this whole idea.
The only thing I got on anybody is, can they pack out an elk?
Nah, you got that on them. Yeah, no, if that was the race, you'd fuck them all up.
But what I like about her also is I flew home the other day. I can't remember where it was from, but I flew over. Like there's some in the Cascades of Oregon. There's the Middle Sister, North Sister, South Sister, and then Bachelors, where everybody goes and skis, and then Broken Top's right there. So I filmed it, and I'm like, I tagged my brother Taylor, and I'm like, hey, can we knock off all 5 of these peaks in 24 hours? And it would be, I mean, it would be a test, you know. And she commented and said she'd join us.
Wow.
She wants to come do it. So I mean, I just love that. She's amazing, but that type of, I mean, I guess that kind of goes hand in hand with the eating whatever you want is also doing whatever you want.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of these elite athletes, they would be like, have a schedule of races and my training and this and that. And I you know, whatever. I like that would just say, yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And it's not a race. It's just, we're just having fun.
Yeah.
Or just a test. It's an unofficial test. And for her to want to join in, that's probably what I love the most about her.
And are there established trails that you guys could run over all those peaks?
We did the South Sister and the Middle Sister last year, and now it's getting off the South Sister towards the Middle Sister is sketchy. There's no trails, no.
Oh, so you're just running through the woods?
It's on the side. There's no trees. It's on the side of the mountain, so it's like shale and.
Even more sketchy.
Yeah,
I'd rather run over trees.
Yeah,
sort of.
No, you would, because you know if there's trees there's solid ground there.
Right.
You know, so with the rocks up there, you don't know what's going to happen.
But you got to be stepping over shit if there's trees there. You might run into a bunch of places where all the trees are falling down.
Generally, yeah. I mean, there can be windfall in there, but generally you can get on an animal trail and find your way through. You know, but when it's just rocks, that's probably the most sketchy. Because just because there's a you know, I don't know, 1,000-pound rock sitting there, it could just be balanced perfectly. You might step on it. That could be. There's no guarantee that those rocks are staying there. You know, falls all the time. So that's with rocks in that type of country, super steep. It's part of it.
It's fascinating to me that is the appeal of sheep hunting to a lot of people, is that it's so incredibly dangerous, that being up in those high peaks and stepping on shale and like on these crazy peaks where to the left is just a steep drop off, to the right is a steep drop off. You have a very narrow place to navigate.
Yeah, it's you know, sheep hunting, they say it's not the animal that's the most wary. It's just the country that makes it. So, I mean, they're expensive, the hunts, but it's just where they.
To that, though.
It's just where they live is the draw. Yeah, you know, I think with the bow, definitely a tough animal. With a rifle, mostly it's just kind of getting in. If you can get your body within range, you know, you can usually get one done, but it's just where they live.
Yeah, when Ben O'Brien and Green Tree were hunting tar, it was a similar thing in New Zealand. They're in these crazy peaks and super dangerous, sketchy territory. And people, it's fascinating to me how people get addicted to incredibly difficult things. They do it, they say, fuck, I'm never doing this again. God, this is terrible. And then they get back, and a couple weeks later, they're like, shit, I want to go back.
Yeah, it's God, I don't know what type of analogy to make, but you know, when you've done, say, maybe ultras or marathons, it's really hard to get excited for a 5K. You know what I mean?
When you do your keep hammering 5K, how boring is that for you?
To me, that's more about the people then.
Right.
Yeah, it's not for me. I'm not. You know, whatever.
That stupid race is the reason why I started running. I couldn't believe how hard it was to do with zero running, folks. Zero. I ran 0, and then I ran a 5K.
Yeah.
And at the end of that, I was like, okay, I got to start running. Shit.
Yeah, and it feels great now, right?
It does. It does.
There's nothing that feels better to me than being able to run. I mean,
you know what's crazy is my endurance for kickboxing is way better.
Yeah.
I mean, way better. Way better. Like, I could do a hard 3-minute round, no problem.
Yeah.
And it's just from running these fucking hills. It just changes your lung capacity.
Yeah, your lungs just expand and contract, and you used to getting more oxygen in there, I guess, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's those you've seen those trails that I'm running on too. They're so steep. It's so much of it is just pushing. It's like you're sprinting up these hills.
Yeah.
And your body's just used to those bursts, you know. And so now when I go crazy on the heavy bag, I like, boom, and then the bell will go off, and I'm like, oh,
Feel good.
It's crazy. It's like it's amazing.
And it does so much for your legs too.
Oh yeah.
You know, people always ask, you know, what I do for legs. And it's like, I just run mountains. I mean, and it's, you know.
Yeah, there was a famous kickboxer from Montreal. His name was Jean-Yves Thériault. He was like the most scary kickboxer in the world in the PKA karate days. And all he did was he would run stairs. Like that was the big workout that he wrote a book on training and you know what it takes to be a world champion. And one of the things that he's saying is you got to run stairs. He's like running stairs has like been the best thing for his kicking power, for his endurance. And I remember thinking that, and he was talking about how it just put inches on his thighs, and it radically increased his lung capacity and kicking power.